Adam Carolla's on the road. San Diego, April 11th and 12th at the American Comedy Club. Port Charlotte, Florida, May 2nd and 3rd at Vasani's Italian Steakhouse and Comedy Theater. And Melbourne, Florida on May 4th at the Melbourne Auditorium. Get tickets for these shows and a whole lot more at adamcarolla.com. Whether it was his carpet cleaning days or just living in LA, he hates high traffic areas. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Josh Duhamel in studio. It's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too, Adam. I've been looking forward to this day for a long time.
Yeah, me too. I had it circled on my calendar.
You liar. I remember listening to you and Dr. Drew on Loveline when I first moved to California back in like 95.
Yeah, that's right about when I started. Yeah. What? So where did you move from?
I was from North Dakota.
Yeah.
I moved from Minot, North Dakota back in 95.
Uh-huh.
Moved to Northern California, worked a construction job, and I had to drive from Napa, Sonoma County to Roanoke Park every day. And every night I'd be listening to you, man. And
in the truck or like back at the apartment?
I think I was still in my 86 Ford Taurus that I drove from Minot all the way here, 255,000 miles or something.
I'll tell you, I like radio because there's a kind of intimacy to it, and people go, "Oh, I worked a night shift, and I used to listen at wet light," or some have I'd listen to the radio, even though my stepdad would tell me to go to bed, but I put the radio under the covers and stuff like that. It's more intimate than watching TV or even a movie. Even though that's impactful, there's something that's interesting because I get a lot of I remember where I was kind of thing.
I remember it very well. I mean, it was. I mean, when you're by yourself, it's dark out, you're driving home, and that's what I would listen to every night. And there was something, and you guys would always talk about stuff that was just a little bit naughty. And I think that's what I loved about it.
So, I'm sorry, North Dakota to here.
Yes.
Right? When did you decide or think that, Hollywood acting and that kind of stuff was the path?
I don't know. I think I always dreamt about doing it, wanting, but when you grow up in North Dakota, there's no pathway to that, So I think that it was just sort of a pipe dream. And I got my degree in biology from Minot State University, go Beavers. And with the intention of going to dental school. That was the plan. And that's what I told my mom I was moving to California to do, was to go to dental school. But I think secretly I wanted to do what I'm doing now. I just didn't know if I had the balls to do it. And I didn't at first, and I struggled mightily for the first few years.
Ransom Canyon, by the way, I should get the plug out, on Netflix. That's the new series starring Josh and others as well. And it premieres on April 17th. I saw the trailer, and it looked pretty damn good.
Yeah,
which is sort of, I don't know, Friday Night Lights meets whatever that thing with Costner was. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of what to call it.
It definitely has elements of Yellowstone. It has elements of Friday Night Lights. It's a little bit Virgin River. It's very Americana.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with this guy who struggled with a lot of loss in the last couple of years, losing his wife and then losing his son, sort of at the opening of the show, and has been a bit of a hermit until about a year later, and that's where it kind of begins.
Well, it looks good, and it's going to hit Netflix soon, so circle that, just like Josh did with this appearance.
Yes, just like you did with this appearance.
I mean me, I did it. So you now, look, you're tall, you're strapping, you're good looking, so you have to know, just like women that are tall and pretty and blonde, like they have some inkling, like, well, maybe I could be on camera, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be on camera, and it doesn't mean I have ability either. And there's also other tall, good-looking guys in this city, for sure. But did you really? Dentist is one of those jobs. I literally passed the dentist office the other day when I was walking, and I thought I couldn't do that. Like, it's one of my I couldn't do jobs. Could you be a dentist?
Well, I thought I could, and I was actually really interested. My mom was pushing me at an early age to figure out what I wanted to do. I was like, I'm a freshman in high school. I don't know. And so early on, I said, I think I was a sophomore maybe, and I said, you know what, I think I want to be a dentist, because I was very good with drawing and painting and sculpting and things. I was really good at, like, artistically. It was one of something I was good at. To be an actual doctor, I could never be. I just didn't have the wherewithal or the motivation to do that. But I felt like I could impress my mother by being a doctor and still do something that I felt like I could be good at. And that was kind of the reason in the beginning. That was 100 years ago now, but that was kind of the first idea. And then I would literally go watch dentists do their thing, both in high school and in college. I would sit in and watch them, and had every intention of doing it. And then I just, I moved out here and then started sniffing around and started getting auditions for TV commercials and stuff like that. And that was kind of the beginning. And I started taking it very seriously, taking classes and the whole thing because, like you said, it's, you're one in a million guys like that. You got to be good and you got to be able to, not only get a job, but to stay working. And I think that's one thing you've done an amazing job of. You just learn to adapt and continue to evolve in this business. I mean, it's really impressive.
Oh, thanks. It's a kind of a business. I mean, at least the way I feel is I sort of said the example is like you're a train and you're going 100 miles an hour and you have to be out front throwing down track all the time because the second you stop throwing out track, the train just goes right off into the abyss, right?
Exactly.
And there is that feeling of like it can all end in an overnight. And look, I mean, first off, you could just go on stage and go full Michael Richards, and it would all just be gone the next morning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's like
especially now.
Yeah, especially now, and even that story is 17 years old or something. He was sort of the poster child for it. But what I mean is you have to keep inventing and sort of reinventing and figuring out and it's interesting because it kind of forces you into places and spaces that you never really thought, like write a book, make a documentary. Like, what? Are you kidding? I'd never do that. But then you do it. So it's good. And it's probably good that you can't keep playing the sport as you did when you were young. You get kicked into the general office, or into the booth and you do color commentary or you write a column, to use a sports metaphor. But I mean, that's kind of what happens with careers, too.
Yeah, and I think that, at least for me, and I'm guessing probably the same for you, I mean, it was, they want to put you in a box. This is what you are. I started on a soap opera on All My Children in New York.
That was your first
That was my first gig. And then had success on that. Right, it was amazing because of the first time I felt like I had the support and people believed in me. I was like, oh my God, this is great because I had sports were rough coming up. I was highly competitive. Played football, played college football, and I won't get into all that. But it was it's part of the beauty of sports is the winning and the losing, knowing how to, pick yourself up and get back in the saddle. All these things that I learned, and it was pretty rough. So that first gig on All My Children was the first time I really felt like I had, support. They believed in me, and that sort of gave me the initiative or the confidence to go on and leave after 3 years because they wanted me to stay. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go back. I want to try to get a show, like a primetime show or something. And I did, struggled for a year or two, and then got Las Vegas, and then got in, which you were on. I remember you were on that with me. And then got Win a Day with Tattoo. And then I was able to sort of break out of that box to get into, okay, now I can do this. But then they wanted you to be, so it's always, for me at least, has been, just trying to give them a little bit of what they expect, but also do something that they don't expect. And that's really what I'm continually trying to do.
Yeah. It's weird being in show business where you fight so hard for a job and then leaving a job in show business, which is very rare because it's always struggling to get as many seasons as you can.
Yeah.
And not exactly knowing what the next thing is kind of interesting. I suspect, or I just think, at some point you got to be calibrated, and when you're calibrated, like your internal compass is facing true north, then the answer for when your agent goes, why do you want to leave? This is a great gig. It's a steady paycheck. You don't know if you're going to find another. You just go, because that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
You don't really need to break it down. If your instincts are good, and your compass is facing true north, then you just having the impulse to do it is enough.
And just trying to stay ahead, like you said, throwing enough track out, because for me it would have been great. I could have had a really steady job and all my children. It was a good life. I learned a ton. Loved the people I worked with, but I knew that if I stayed another 3 years, it would be that much harder to break out of that box.
Right.
So it's for me. It's like being grateful and present in what I have now, but also thinking about, okay, what is next? Because it's it's an ever changing landscape out there, as you know, and I'm just trying to hustle, really.
Well, look, there's another part. I mean, if you're going philosophical here, you go, I've never really been out of work in show business or in any business. So why wouldn't I bet on myself? You know what I mean? Like I would always say when I was a carpenter, but I'd say this in general, when they go, there's a lot of hardworking folks, they're out of work. I go, who do you know who's really good at their job who's out of work? I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a carpenter who's a good carpenter who's out of work.
Right.
They just work.
Right.
And I don't even know how they work, because they just wander from job to job to job to job, but they just work. And people that are good and semi-sober and have a motor in them, they just work, and that's who you are. But I want to go back to sports, because I feel like you got a lot of this ethic from sports, and I attribute a lot of anything good that I have in terms of qualities from playing a lot of sports, especially football. Baseball's a little funner and a little easier and a little less give it up for the team.
Yeah.
But football's a real kind of give it up for the team, and it's painful.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable and as well. So what's your experience with that?
I still do. Football's my favorite sport. I love the UFC. Basketball. I played a lot of sports growing up, because in North Dakota that's what you do.
Right.
There's just not a lot of other things. Like my son's living here now in Los Angeles. There's a million different things he could do.
Yes.
He's finally gotten into, soccer and really loves it. And I think it's good for him. And part of what I think is important about that is that he, they get their ass kicked a lot.
You want that.
But they also started winning a couple games, and you got to have that too. I think you want to have more winning than you do losing, but you got to know how to lose too. It's this business. In whether it's the entertainment business or life in general, you're kicked in the teeth, and if you know how to keep going and just get back up and just keep showing up, you got a better shot. And
I mean, it's funny. I have interviewed quite a few athletes and football players especially, and I always ask them their memories or whatever, and their memories are always of a failure or a fuck up. And it's weird. And I started thinking to myself, I was like, yeah, I have a couple old memories, and they're usually losing the championship game or something. And it's like, well, there's plenty of victories too, but I don't really remember those that much. And then I realized maybe it's good that you sort of have a let's not let this happen again kind of mindset as a human being. But I don't know about you. Do you remember losing the championship, or do you remember scoring the winning touchdown?
No, I remember mostly it's not about so much the winning and losing. It's about the competition for the job. It was about winning the job, and it was about because in college and in high school, really, I split time as quarterback. I was kind of the passer. We had another guy who was a runner. It was kind of the same situation both times, and it drove me crazy because I felt like I should have been the starter. And ultimately, nothing worked out like I thought it was going to. Like most things don't. But what I learned from that was that it was so valuable for me going forward, because I got to outwork everybody. I got to show up every day, and I got to try to outwork them. And eventually, it's gonna, you're gonna have success. And so it was. I was bitter about that for a long time because I truly felt like I won the job, but it was like this weird sort of platoon system that we had. This is 30 years ago. It doesn't matter now. But my point is that it gave me that fire to go sort of prove myself because I was never really able to prove myself until. And I'm still continuing to, try to do that.
Yeah, we try to avoid all that sort of adversarial stuff or the disappointment or the critiques or the whatever, but I think that's a mistake. I got a lot personally. Like, I remember where I was when my friends were making fun of me for sucking at football, and I was like. I started playing when I was 7, and I had a great skill at it, and I was just better than everyone.
In football?
Yeah, but it's a weird thing. Mm-hmm. So, and it is a weird thing to process and to deal with. I was thinking back the other day, I was so much better than everybody that when I was in the 5th grade, Mr. Backus, my 5th grade teacher at Colfax Elementary, he just pulled me aside one day and he just went, "Why are you so much better than everyone here at sports? Like, you can do more push-ups, you can do everything better than everyone, but why?" Like, he wanted to know why. And I was just like, I don't know, I like it or something.
Mm-hmm. Were you bigger and stronger than everybody else?
I had this thing, and I now realize what it was. I know what it was. And don't worry, it's going to take a turn. It's not all ice cream and roses here. I was a little bit bigger than everyone was. I had a weird, uncanny, freakish sense of balance. And I learned to ride a unicycle in an afternoon, and 2 days later I was riding it off of picnic tables and riding on and stuff like that. I had a weird balance thing. Huh. And then I realized pre-puberty, when nothing is kicked in and everyone's kind of the same, because pre-puberty is everyone's basically, no one's juicing. Yeah. Everyone's in the same place, right? The guy with the crazy sense of balance is the guy who can throw people around. Right. And so I would just throw everyone around and I just whoop up on everyone. But then puberty kicked in. And all my friends kicked in to like a Jose Canseco type dad gene pool. And I kicked into a sort of Danny DeVito type gene pool. And so it was a weird thing. So all my friends who I would be so bored wrestling them that I would say, when we wrestle, I'm just going to lay down and let you pin me. And then the game will be how fast I throw you off and pin you. Yeah. We won't even wrestle starting on our feet.
Now, did you hit puberty before they did?
No, we all hit at the same time. But mine, I don't come from a good gene pool. So my dad doesn't have lumberjack genes. He's got skinny guy genes, you know? And so all of a sudden, my friends that I used to throw around, all of a sudden they're throwing me around. And I'm like, what's going on? And where'd that vein in your arm come from? Yeah. And like, where are these muscles? And they're throwing the weights around and stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, I can't do this. And I didn't know what it was. But everyone is now kicking my ass. And I used to formally kick everyone else's ass. And my two closest friends are both turning into monster studs on the football team. And so people, Steve Hughes said to me when I was about 15 or 16, a bunch of guys, they just went, "You used to kick ass at football." And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "You're on the bench on the B team. You're not starting on the B team." And I go, "Yeah, I know, I'm trying, you know." And they're like,
"But remember back when we were 10?
You used to kick ass. What happened?" And they all started kind of laughing at me, going, "Well, you're good at one thing," because I wasn't good at school. I was good at one thing. That was football. And now you're not. Yeah. So I was like, and they all started making fun of me. And I just went, okay, I'll be back. And I started like a Rocky montage, just drinking raw eggs and going to the weight room and I just transformed myself. And I was also like, they were like, look, come back and play on the B team the next year, and you'll start. Keep your weight down so you can make it onto the B team, because they wouldn't let you on if you're like over 170 pounds or something. And I remember him telling me that, and I just went, no. I'm going to start drinking eggs, and I'm going to that weight room, and I'm going to varsity next year. And I don't care if I sit on the bench on varsity. I'm going next year. And I ended up being all Valley first team and led the team in varsity and got college scholarships and stuff. But it's all because I was being beaten down, and I just snapped, and I went, I'll show you.
Yeah.
And I could have went back to my house and slammed heroin and just called it a day, but I got motivated. It was weird.
Well, I mean, that goes, it's sort of the same story that you sometimes need to get kicked in the teeth in order to come back, because but for me, it was like, I thought that I was much better than I probably was. To be honest, I thought I was going to go pro, but no, I wasn't even close to being good enough to go pro. So, it was a humbling sort of experience to learn that, okay, you know what, this is not going to go your way, but there is, you can come back, and that's really what my whole, mantra's been, is just, I just got to outwork people. I got to keep showing up.
Was your work ethic strong back then?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been somebody who tries, because I don't have a lot of, I wasn't the guy who was kicking everybody's ass.
Well, until age 13, I didn't have
I just was
run.
never that guy. I was tall and I was pretty quick, but I was just never going to be, a star athlete.
Mm-hmm. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Love these guys. Well, I like the cars, and I like the car parts. I like to keep them running. That's what O'Reilly. I usually wear their hat around too. A little free advertising for them. For me, keeps the sun off my bean. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service people that know their way around a parts department and can point you in the right direction. Also, they're knowledgeable. Always used O'Reilly. Always fixed my own cars, and always went in. Like the smell of the place. Smells like victory in those O'Reilly Auto Parts. So whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they are friendly. So stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Rough greens. Sometimes in life, if you want to get the truth, you got to look at the numbers. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, the creator of Rough Greens, who I spoke to for quite a bit of time, a passionate man. He loves the pets. And he says that unfortunately, most dogs, or half the dogs over 10 years of age, are going to die of cancer. And that's widely attributed to their diet. And that's why he came up with Rough Greens. But good news. There is something you can sprinkle on your dog's food that makes their diet so much better. You don't have to swap out the food. You just sprinkle it on. I mean, Phil was over here the other day, and I just gave him the Rough Greens. I just gave him right out. I didn't even sprinkle on his food because I didn't have his food. I just wanted to give him a little pep in his step, so I gave him a little shot. He loved it. Most of these supplements aren't nearly as good as Rough Greens, and check their ratings. #1 all-natural dog supplement in America with 5-star reviews all over the place. You don't have to change your dog's food to improve your dog's health. Just add a scoop of Rough Greens. Right, Dawson?
Fetch a free Jumpstart trial bag for your dog today. Go to roughgreens.com. Just use promo code Adam. That's RUFF greens.com and use promo code Adam and just cover shipping. You don't have to change your dog's food to improve your dog's health. Just add a scoop of Rough Greens.
Yeah, it's weird. The thing that's interesting about athletics, which I kind of appreciate, is it sort of self kind of regulates. Like it tosses people out. No matter how much you wanted it, no matter how much I wanted it, by the time you get to a certain age and it's young, it just pushes you out. You just slough off. Whereas lots of guys want to be a comedian or write a book or be a country singer or be an actor, and they're into their 50s now, and they never slough off. Like they don't get pushed out, which in a way, you'd be doing them a service if you got them to kind of get on with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sports just spits you out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a true meritocracy.
Yes.
If you're not, contributing to the team or winning, you're out.
I do believe we are not secretly, but why are we so attracted to sports? And I think it's the meritocracy part. I think it's the part where we absolutely know that all 11 guys on the defensive side of the ball on that Super Bowl team are the best 11 guys they could find to be on the defensive side of the ball. And you never kind of go like, you don't have it, you don't break it up. It's like they're all black. And you just go, they're the best guys. You know what I mean? If there is a white safety, you go, that guy must be a hell of a safety. You know, you don't go, I bet he knows the owner or anything. You just go,
there's none of that.
Those are the best.
And I think that's what I love about it too. UFC's the same way. It's a full on
which I think
mono.
I think people need to understand that, because you take something like, I've said it before, but I mean, back in the day, it was the Super Bowl and then the Oscars, you know what I mean? And that 30 years ago, two biggest nights on television were the Oscars and the Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl just kept getting more and more popular, and UFC more and more popular. I mean, how much more popular were the Oscars than the UFC 25 years ago or whatever? But then the Oscars started fiddling a little bit. They started doing a little DEI stuff and saying, well, we want more. And then people started watching going, is that really the best film of the year? Or how come they didn't do the big action blockbuster that kicked ass? The first Transformers, man. It was just funny, action-packed.
I mean, should have won an Academy Award, right?
Right. But Moonlight won, or whatever. And no, honestly, why not? Super creative, funny, action-packed, so on and so forth. But so then people started looking at the Oscars going, is that really the best? And the second that happens in the Super Bowl, it's over. Like, is that quarterback really the best guy? Or is he just in there because of this? He checked some box or something.
Right.
So UFC, ultimate meritocracy, right? Football, meritocracy. And that's why I think humans, and especially men, are inherently attracted to it.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the gladiator days.
Right.
It's win or die. It's you survive or you get eaten by the lion. And I think that it's the last. Sports are the last remaining primal sort of thing that we can look to, especially. I just keep going back to the UFC. I love it. I mean, it can be brutal.
No, I love it too.
But it's the talent, the athleticism, the courage that it takes to get into that ring. I mean, I love watching it, but that is one thing I could never do.
No, I'm with you,
man.
No, I used to box, but I was even a pussy. Even when I was a boxer. So I always say there's really, in boxing, but in combat sports, there's really like 9.9 men, if you punch them really hard, think to themselves, oh man, I don't want that to happen again. But there's 0.1% that think, I'm going to kill the guy who punched me. And I don't know, that's Conor McGregor. But
you got to be a little crazy.
You have to go, because when you get punched, like sometimes when I'd spar, the guy'd punch you in the shoulder and you'd go, oh my God, he hits so hard. Like if that's how hard he hits, if that hits me in the face, I'm fucked. Yeah. But I never thought, oh, he hit me, now I'm going to kill him. I thought, let's not get hit. Yeah. Was always my kind of headspace.
Well, that's the Floyd Mayweather approach.
Floyd Money Mayweather. Saw him at the Lakers game.
Yeah.
So you come out and you leave New York where you have a job. I mean, soap opera is about as close as you're going to have to a regular job in show business, right?
Yep.
Like it's acting, it's on camera, it's a TV show, but the run could be 40 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think all my children went like 45 or 50 years. Mm-hmm. Young and the Restless has been on since the early 70s. I know that much. And yes, it is, I guess, the closest thing to a clocking in every day and going to work. for a young actor just trying to learn, it's the best possible place. It was like boot camp. It's like you learn where your light is, you learn where you how to hit a mark, you learn a lot of lines every day. How to handle the media on a much smaller scale, so that if you do ever go outside of that, you have some idea. So for me, it was perfect because I was still very green. I was very ambitious. I really wanted to learn. I wanted to be good. And it was nothing but fond memories with that place.
Yeah, no, it's getting your 10,000 hours in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, people sort of make fun of it sometimes, like soap opera actor, but you really get your reps, you really get your time in, and it's a good exercise, I would say. I don't know if you want to do it for 30 years, but it's a good, from where you came from, it's a good base, right?
Yeah, and it teaches you, I approach this business with a real blue collar attitude. I really do. Because I've worked construction for years. I worked in warehouse. I worked in these shit jobs for so long that every day I remind myself how lucky I am and how quickly this can all go away. So, whether it's the, craft service guy or it's the producer who's, running the network, that kind of stuff, if you're an asshole, you get sloughed off pretty quick. And, and it's kind of the mentality that I've had, is that this thing can go away very quickly if you don't continue to evolve, continue to work at it, and continue to, treat people with respect.
Yeah. Well, no one needs you. You know what I mean? So, and it always happens. You've been in those meetings where someone goes, well, we get so-and-so to direct this thing. And they go, three people go, life's too short. I've worked with that guy before. He's a douche.
Right.
Like, I don't want to do that. Like it does. A lot of it is your craft and your ability, but there are plenty of people that have a look or have ability or have the craft. At a certain point, it's a hang. It's like a long hang. Do you want to hang with this person?
Yeah.
You're on a set for 14 hours a day. Do you want to be with this person? And I can tell you, I've been in a million meetings where people are just like, yeah, that person's an okay director or writer or whatever, but the guy's a douche. I don't want to fucking go in the office with that guy every day. And then just get rid of you.
Yeah.
And you never know why.
And that's the truth. And now more than ever, I think you really have to, it's a different world than it was when I first started. It's not, you just got to really, so for me, stay out of politics. If I start talking politics, I'm going to get, I'm going to piss somebody off.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
you will.
And more than ever. Dude, I bought a Cybertruck.
Oh yeah.
I bought this before it all started hitting the fan.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people have flipped me off
really?
Driving down the streets daily, 10 times a day.
Really?
Yeah.
It is.
I'm like, why are you so angry, man? I thought I was doing something for the environment. Jesus, leave me alone.
It is.
Fuck you.
It's uncanny. Well, but did every once in a while some guy do fuck you and then yell Vegas sucked?
No, they don't know it's me.
Truck.
They just feel like I'm the devil because I'm driving this truck. It's like,
it
man.
is. Look, it's bizarre and it's nonsensical. And it's borderline insane, or maybe it is insane. Maybe it's not borderline. Like, first off, Elon Musk and whatever he's doing is about 10 minutes old. It's literally weeks. It's not years. It's just weeks. So the average, I think if you said the average Los Angelino car owner who's driving around the freeways probably had that vehicle for an average of 5.3 years or something like that. There's probably 3% of Teslas on the road were purchased after Elon started calling the shots, and the lion's share before. So just that alone, you bought the car before whatever they thought of Elon, back when they loved Elon. So they used to worship at the altar of Elon. So that's when you bought the car. That's when everyone bought their Tesla. So that's number one. Number two, it's an electric car, which these people always talk about, saving the environment. Number three, It's not like, I don't know, Elon owns 13% of Tesla or whatever it is. It's not like he sits up on a big Tesla throne every day and calls the shots. He's a minority owner in it. And number 4, he's trying to save some money. I don't know why we decided he's enemy number 1. But number 5, it doesn't get you anywhere to flip off someone who's driving a Tesla truck or any Tesla.
I mean, that brings up a couple of things. Like, first of all, I truly don't understand. Like, I'm trying to figure out where did this true disdain that they have suddenly? Is it because he's involved with Trump? Is that the reason why?
First things first.
I know that he came out and he did like looked like he did the Heil Hitler thing, right? Was that the beginning of it?
Yeah. No. That wasn't the beginning. So what happened was first off,
I was in London during all this, so I was kind of watching it through a different lens.
You shooting a film there?
Yeah.
Is it coming out or
probably early 26?
Oh,
yeah.
Transformer stuff?
No, it's a movie I directed called Preschool about these 2 dads who are fighting to get into this last spot in this super pretentious preschool.
Well, that's cool. All right, so Elon. Okay, first off,
just help me.
I will help you.
This.
I will help you. I will walk you through Elon.
I don't want to get canceled, so don't get me in trouble, Carolla.
Okay, listen, I'm already canceled, so I can speak. All right, Elon. First off, billionaire became a pejorative like 10 minutes ago. Like every time a Democrat politician goes on stage, they go, "These billionaires over there." Like, I thought that was a good thing when I was coming up.
Yeah.
That meant the guy did something right or he worked hard.
Right.
Certainly created a lot of jobs. Yeah. But he bought X, or he bought Twitter.
Right.
So Elon, I think, was sitting around and he was getting kind of bothered by how the news was being shaped and what was being called fake news and all that kind of stuff. And there was a lot of mis and disinformation being pushed out there on COVID and stuff like that. So he said, and a lot of people were getting deplatformed for saying shit that turned out to be true about something like COVID. So they kind of controlled, and, without getting too negative or political, the Democrats kind of owned the news and the platforms and the tech platforms and late night and Hollywood and just the general zeitgeist of creative expression was sort of the left. And there were lots of cases where some doctor would say something on Twitter or Facebook or something like that and get deplatformed for no explanation, even though he turned out to be accurate and things like that. So Elon bought Twitter and started saying, if you're a doctor who's got an opinion about COVID, you're welcome to say it on Twitter. And they started not liking him because he started in this free speech stuff, and they didn't like the free speech. Even though they say they like free speech, what they're really saying is we would like to control this, and we want a sort of home field advantage, and we will decide what's accurate speech. And he bought it, and he said, no, anyone can say anything. And so that's when they started hating on him.
That's right.
And then later, he went over to Team Trump, and they really started hating him. And then later he got into Doge and, cleaning up the Social Security rolls and all that kind of stuff. And they went ballistic on him. And then some of it is just they're in a feeding frenzy. Yeah. Like if you ever see sharks go into a feeding frenzy, they will start biting like other sharks and stuff. They're just going. Like at some point, they're just there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but I mean that is the natural progression of it. But
whatever, you've not had your car desecrated.
Not yet.
But you've literally been flipped off how many times?
Oh my God, daily. At least 5 times a day. At least. There's like real venom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? And I got out of the car the other day and I said, well, that was rude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just driving this car. I hate everything that he stands for. I was like, I'm just driving my car.
Yeah.
My kid's in the car.
Wow.
you want to come over? Do you want to come over and Paul? He just asked me why you did that. Come over to the car, and she wouldn't do it. And I said, "Come on, just come over here." And so she did.
Like
and I opened the door, and he wasn't actually there. I was just trying to
something?
make her feel bad.
Wait a minute. Where is this?
This is driving up my street that I live on. This is driving down the road to my Little Mills restaurant that I go to. It's just it's
on
been
Ventura?
a lot. And whatever. I find, I almost find it amusing. I'm mostly interested in the psychology behind it. Like,
me too.
Why are we so angry? Why are we so, like, I've never seen it so divided and so much
vitriol.
Divide.
Yeah,
between,
it's interesting. I'm
really,
with you.
It's a fascinating study.
I just feel like Jane Goodall studying chimps with a clipboard. Like at this point, I'm literally just studying humanity and how they're affected. And I always said during COVID, I was like, I didn't learn anything about infectious diseases, but I learned a lot about human behavior.
Yeah.
And it was a real case study to see how everyone just immediately jumped in and picked a team and took a side. And, I also realized that there's a symbolism that these people respond to, which is you go, what's wrong with putting the American flag on my pickup truck? And it's like, well, nothing's wrong with it except for you have self-identified as a Republican or as a Trump supporter, and now we got to go kick in the fender of your pickup truck. And so there's interesting little tells, and it was an interesting.
But why can't you just be an American who just wants the best for the country? See, I honestly don't care. I voted Obama twice.
Yeah, well, but
I couldn't. I was one of those people that didn't like Trump. I hated Trump in the beginning, and we were actually at a UFC fight. I hope I don't get in trouble for telling the story, but it's interesting because this is my story. We're at this UFC fight. I've known Dana White for years, and at the time, it's during his first presidency. I really didn't like the guy. Would talk all kinds of shit about him.
Trump.
Yes, and he, we get a call a couple of days before, and it was the UFC officials asking for our Social Security numbers because Secret Service is going to be there. I was like, oh, what's this about? They didn't tell us. Dana gave me his seats. We're sitting right in front. And about halfway through the night, everybody starts dancing. Half the people are booing, half the people are screaming, cheering for him, and here comes Trump walking through with all of his guys. And we're like, oh my God, he's here. He comes walking in, comes walking closer and closer, and comes in and sits literally right the seat behind me. And I didn't turn around and shake the man's hand. And my wife, who was at the time my girlfriend, was so mad at me. She's like, you shake the man's hand. He is the president of the United States. And I'm like, no, fuck this guy. I'm not going to do it. Can we swear in the show? I don't know if we can. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it. And so after, and it turns out she was right. No matter what, whether you're a Biden fan, whether you're or not, I was like, I should have shaken the man's hand. He's the president of the United States. And whether it's Biden or Trump or whoever is, I think that there's got to be some kind of respect for that. And I think that was my lesson in that moment, is like I was too proud to shake the man's hand. And I feel like, the lesson for me was, no matter who it is, if it's the leader of your country, if you really love your country, at least root for the best for whatever, if it was Kamala, I would have been, go. Let's hope for the best, It doesn't mean we have to root for the country to fail. And I feel like there's a lot of that going on.
Oh yeah, it's strong, and it's never been that way.
Yeah,
you got, because essentially your country is your team, and the president is the head coach.
Yeah,
and like I know guys who are like big USC football fans, and then they hire this guy as the coach, and the person's like, oh God, why'd they go with that guy? That guy sucks. Why didn't they hire this guy from Michigan? He could have turned the program around. And they're pissed off that they hired the coach they don't like. But the second the kickoff for opening season starts, they're rooting for that team to win because it's their team.
Right.
And they didn't like the coach, and it wasn't their choice. And if they had their druthers, they wouldn't have had a contract with that guy. But the season has begun. This is their team, and they root for their team. And that's basically how people should treat this country, as their
Feels
team.
like it. I mean, it's the greatest country in the world, and I feel like we have to remember that. You know.
Well, there's a new paradigm, which is a kind of a hysteria, and also if you are going to look, if that, getting back to the head coach at USC metaphor, but if somebody convinced you that guy was Hitlerian and a racist and homophobic, then you probably wouldn't root for USC to win.
Yeah.
And then I'd go, but that's your team, right? And you'd go, but that guy hates Jews.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't root for your team. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing. Somebody has decided that him and Elon, and I wouldn't mess with a guy in a Toyota Prius, but if I thought he voted for Hitler, then maybe I would, and that's the weird hysteria that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And it's
where do you think that is? That the media? Is that what's causing this?
I mean,
this mass sort of vitriol.
The media does push it forward, but it needs foot soldiers. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, I probably during COVID, they had mask up, don't walk on the horse trail policy. I didn't wear a mask, and I did walk on the horse trail, and it couldn't be enforced, but it could be enforced by citizens who passed you by and told you to put your mask on. Like, none of this will work unless the citizens get deputized to make it work. So, whatever they're saying on CNN or whatever they're coming out of the Democratic Party, whatever they're saying on MSNBC, wouldn't work if it just fell on deaf ears. You have to have a bunch of people with like Trump derangement syndrome who are ingesting it and then going out onto the road and flipping you and your child who wasn't in the car off.
He actually was. He was in the car, one of them. But the one time I got out and I said, "Well, that was rude." What was I? I pretended like he was in the car, but he actually was. I just wanted to see what her reaction would be.
And it is kind of interesting, and I think the way to do it is to almost be inquisitive about it, because I had somebody talk shit about me the other day on Twitter, and like, he doesn't know shit about anything. I was doing some vlogs about Malibu fires and stuff like that, and they just went, he doesn't know shit and never will or something. And I just wrote back, well, I was a carpenter for a lot of years, so I do know something about this stuff. I wasn't like, fuck off. I was just like, I have things that I know. I don't know why I can't own those things.
I do think that's a good way to go about it. And I was, first couple times it happened, I was mad. I was really mad. It's like, don't just assume that I'm somebody just because of this or that, and then I became really curious about the psychology behind like, wow. And I actually said to her, "You're going to get your ass kicked. You're lucky I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to come out and beat you up
if
you continue just to flip people off all willy-nilly like that."
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not good to be just doing that. You're going to end up flipping off the wrong person,
Yeah, I agree. And also, I don't know. I always say, does it make you money? Does it make you happy? If it's not one of those two things, maybe don't do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Maybe she could argue it made her happy. I don't know, but she doesn't feel happy.
No,
to me.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very unhappy.
I do think a lot of this is, a lot of people are on medication, some SSRI stuff, pharmaceutical stuff, and they're just not breaking a sweat and convening with nature. This doesn't come from people who do a lot of ocean kayaking and stuff like you need to get in the ocean. You need to get in the woods. You need to build a cabin. Like, you need to go fishing. Like, we're too many energy drinks, too much time on the phone, too much in the city. and too many medications.
Yeah.
And it's made for some sort of bouillabaisse of sort of toxic whatever, and everyone's brain is turned to shit. Like people need to get out and swing an axe and take
You
a
should
tree
come to my
down.
cabin. We do a lot of that out there.
Where is your cabin?
Minnesota.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'd love it.
Deep in the woods.
What do we
Are you
do
into
there?
that stuff?
I can be.
Yeah.
I could come over there and fix up your cabin.
Yeah, I bought this property like 15 years ago, and have just had the best time shaping it. Got a tractor, got a skid steer,
Really?
clearing.
How much
cutting
land
trails.
do you have?
54.
54
on this
acres?
Beautiful little lake. Yeah,
That's a lot.
it's been a lot of work, but it's been great for the soul. Great
Oh,
just
my
to
God.
get back to the basics. I mean, for the first 10, 11 years, there was electricity in one of the, so I bought half a parcel, then I bought the other half that had a little hunting shack with no electricity or water.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one up went up for sale next to that with another little tiny cabin right on the water with only electricity. Neither one of them had water.
Mm-hmm.
So we were washing our dishes in the lake. We had outhouses. I mean, it was muddy and dirty, and it took us a long time to get it to where it is now. But it was, that to me has been my place just to like clear my head, to get out of this craziness.
It strikes me. People need projects, man.
Yeah.
They
You got to be building
projects.
something.
You got to
be building or making something.
You got to be making something, and it could be a fort or a tree house, and you could be restoring an old car, or it could be a cabin, or it could be a kitchen remod, whatever it is. But you need to be engaged, and people aren't engaged, and they're starting to float a little because they're not grounded by this kind of engagement.
Yeah.
And we're at the point of life, which is somebody invented a treadmill. And the reason they invented a treadmill is because we're not walking to the well anymore with a gourd on our head and carrying water back to wherever we're living. Like it is simulating what we used to do all day, every day, And people were sane and they weren't fat because they walked 5 miles a day or whatever. But at some point somebody went, everyone's sedentary and they're sitting in a booth and they have air conditioning. So we will invent a thing that is essentially a simulation of walking or jogging or whatever, and they can sit and watch SportsCenter while they're doing this thing. And people understand it physically. Like they go, well, yeah, you need to do this. Otherwise, you're going to be sedentary, you're going to get fat, and it's not going to work. Well, there's a kind of emotional version of that we have not simulated, and we've left it alone. And I don't think it's video games or online porn. I don't think that's going to cure this. You need to have a project, man.
Yeah.
And if everyone is a renter and living in the middle of the city and doesn't have an old pickup truck to fix up or cabin to build or kitchen to add on or whatever, it's going to be hard. Like you're going to have to find the treadmill version of a hobby, of a project, of something, because what you're seeing is the manifestation of people's brain sort of turning on themselves. Yeah. You got to think about, like, when you really have a project, like when there's something to do, everything else gets kind of blocked out. Like you get up early Saturday morning, you go, I'm going to the Home Depot, like you're just there.
Right.
You're not walking up and down that aisle thinking about Elon Musk or Trump or Kamala or your 401k or anything. You're just like, where's the CDX 3/4 ply?
Yeah.
Like it's all, what aisle's it in? That's all you have.
Yeah.
And you need that kind of engagement that sort of pulls you out of this world.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, that was that what you just said is what has been my sanity for the last 15 years. Going out there, having this thing that this year, every year I got a new project. I got something I'm doing out there to improve it. Whether it's putting a well in at the top cabin or cutting a trail so that I can get all the way around to the east side of it. Things like just basic, mundane.
Yes. Repetitive,
stuff
physical.
That makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something.
Yes.
And I have a tremendous amount of, this tremendous feeling of accomplishment, having started with this little plot of land. And now we've got this beautiful thing that the family all comes to, and my kids get to get their hands dirty and experience what it's like to be out there. I have them doing work for me now. It's like it's something that I built that I feel like I can pass on. And that has been, and I credit my dad for that. He knew that I wanted something, and he went and found this place. And I remember driving out the first time. I was like, oh my God. I was like, smash. The horse flies and mosquitoes were really bad that year. And I was like, I love it. I love it. And aside from the bugs and the mosquitoes and the horse flies out there, it's my little piece of heaven, and it's become like the place. It's about the base, about cutting, having enough wood to keep the for the fire to keep us warm in the winter. It's about making sure we got enough water. Do we have enough food? We're 40 miles from any store.
Yeah, it's your treadmill.
Yeah,
because you drive a Cybertruck and you live in modern times. You've created a treadmill called a cabin in Minnesota.
Yeah,
and you're simulating life from a different era. Essentially, like you're simulating a walk to the well on a treadmill.
Right.
But it's great for your sanity. And then another thing you touched on that everyone needs is you need to say to people, like when people come see it, they go, oh man, this is amazing. And you go, I cleared that trail last summer, and they go, I did this and I put that in, and what have you. Like when I'm here, you come in, we're hanging around back there. You go, oh, this is crazy. This is great in here. And I go, yeah, I bought this thing 20 years ago. And then I built the studio, back then. And then I built some offices. And it feels good to go, I made this thing. And people need that. And we're in a digital world now. And I don't think the young folks are getting that I made this, I accomplished this. And then the question is, because you're talking about your son, do you have more than one son?
I have an 11-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Axel and Shepherd.
Well, the 1-year-old we can wait on for a little bit before I start passing along my sagely advice. But the 11-year-old, here's a question for you. You said, you worked in warehouses, you worked construction, like you worked in that world. And now you appreciate this world because you had an A to this B, and I had a serious world of construction and all that work for a long time. And now I have this, and then, so when people say, oh, they sold out the first 4 shows in Naples, you want to add a 3rd show on Saturday? I go, yeah, go ahead. And then someone will go, that's a lot of work. And I'll go, no, it's not. Standing on stage holding a beer is not a lot of work. I'll tell you what work is. And then they go, all right, shut up. We've heard this fucking story. Yeah. But I have an A, and the B is air conditioning, a beer, and a microphone. And that's not work to me. But your son, my son, they don't have the A, really. I mean, they didn't know what it was like to work in a warehouse or work construction or something. Do you impose that on them?
It's a great question. It's one of my, it's one of the most difficult things about, raising kids, especially because you work to provide for them and to give them a life that you didn't have. Well, sometimes you have to, the life that you came from is the reason why you have what you have now, because you knew that you had to work your way out of and work towards something. And so one of the most difficult things for me to impart on my son, my 11-year-old, is, the struggles that I had growing up, where I took him to the house I grew up in. Great parents, but we just, for a lot of years we didn't have.
What'd your dad do?
He's retired now, but he owned a company that between Montana, North Dakota, and Minnesota, he would go to all these little towns, sell advertising that they would put on the back of the receipts.
From the supermarket?
Yeah, from this, and so you get 10% off at Ray's, dry cleaning.
Wow.
And so he'd go around, sell these advertisements, and he had his own little company. He had a printer who would go do it, and he ended up making a really good living. But what a niche, profession, and he made, he really ended up doing pretty well. And but we didn't have, that was much later. This is well after I was gone. But when we were younger, we really, it was tough after they got divorced. And, my son Axel doesn't have those same kind of, it's a totally different world. He's got more than I ever had growing up. So how do you impart those same lessons when they don't have the same circumstances. It's a tough one.
No, I used to say to Dr. Drew all the time, I go, listen, you have a 7,000 square foot house in Pasadena. Your kids aren't going to grow up. They're going to grow up in that house, but then they're moving into an apartment. Like they're not going to have that. They will have it for a while. How do you, for me, I would say, like, my whole thing was I got shouted down, but I was like, I don't know. I would tell my son, go get a job at McDonald's. And then everyone go, why does your son have to work at McDonald's? I go, I worked at McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly.
They go, well, that's you. You're poor. He doesn't need to work. I go, he doesn't need to, but he'd get something out of working at McDonald's, Again, it's like the simulation, like the treadmill. He doesn't. He wouldn't need a McDonald's paycheck. He'd need a McDonald's experience.
How old
I needed
is your
a
son?
McDonald's. He's 18 now. And he turned out, he's fine, but there isn't a fire in the belly. You know what I mean? And I had the same thing with my nephews. Like, where's the fire? And it's like, we got a flat panel TV and some air conditioning, and we Uber and stuff like that. And there isn't. And
you can't just recreate it. It's not something you just go. You can't go create hardship.
No, I know. It's like stick-on calluses or something. Like, you need to earn those calluses. No Lee press.
Can you get those at
calluses.
Walmart?
I'm telling you, I would work. But that's what it is. Like, you need to like the fighter with the cauliflower ear. You know what I mean? Like, hey man, you gotta grind to get that. So it's tough. And I don't know. The 11-year-old, that's you and Fergie's.
Yes.
And how's Fergie with that? Like, because here's a lot of it. A lot of it is I went through this too. I'm divorced now. But I was like, listen, I understand what it takes to do this. Now he's got to do this. And then the wife's like, no, leave him alone. He doesn't want to, whatever. So women bail him out a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. We have to. As much as you want to protect and shelter them from all those things, they're going to get their heart broken. They got to be broke and figure out how to make money and how to build something. Mm-hmm. It's a tough one because my natural instinct too is to be like, oh, here, let me just do it for you.
Yeah.
And you just can't do that. They have to struggle, And my wife, Audra, is really good at making him, do things. She doesn't hold the same sort of. She's not. She loves him dearly, but she's not as precious,
Right.
And she's got a better perspective on it than we do. She's like, listen, you need to get this kid doing this, this, and this because he's not. He needs to learn these things, and she's right.
Yeah. Well, it's basically like this: the kid wants to eat, Pop-Tarts for breakfast. And then you go, no, you need eggs and bacon or whatever. And they go, I want a Pop-Tart. And the person, and then the kid starts crying, and then the woman goes, give him Pop-Tarts. And it's like, I'm not saying eggs over Pop-Tarts because I'm mean. I'm saying eggs over Pop-Tarts because it's healthy, and he needs to learn how to do this and be healthy. So it breaks into this weird thing where, like, I used to. I tried to implement this thing because my son was growing up in a zero gravity environment. So, and I was like, I got to start. And by the way, he's a great guy. He's good. And everything's fine. He'll be fine. But it's like he needs a little gravity in his life, And so I came up with this thing and I said, look, I would take my cold plunge in the freezing swimming pool every morning up in the foothills, especially during the winter. I just go, I'm getting in that pool every single morning. Get in the pool, swim to the deep end, go underwater to the shallow end. And it sucked. Mm-hmm. And I didn't need to do it, but I was imposing a little shit on myself. Like I was just putting a cigarette out on my thigh, just like, come on, suck it up. I didn't want to do it. And the rule was you have to do it. Every single morning. Like I would have flights out of LAX at 7 a.m. and I'd be up at 5 a.m. and I'd just go do it. And I'd be like, it's dark outside. And it takes 2 minutes. Just go get in the fucking pool. I just go throw myself in the pool. So I said to him, look, if I go out and you tell me what you think of this. I said, look, I go out on nights from La Cañada to Melrose or the Comedy Store in Hollywood, and I perform for free, do a 15-minute set just to try to get better at my craft.
Right.
I want to get better, and I'll go for free. Now, on weekends, I get paid. I go to out of town. I said, on the days I go perform for free, you need to get in that pool because I'm doing it.
You told your son this.
Yeah. I said, I got enough money. I don't need to be driving into Hollywood. I'm working over here. I'm driving back to La Cañada. Last thing I want to do is leave at 8 o'clock at night and go there and not get paid. But I'm doing it. I don't like doing it, but I'm doing it so I can get better at something. And if I do it a couple days a week, I need you in the pool a couple days a week.
And how'd that go?
It worked for like 10 seconds, and then my wife was like, "Why are you torturing him?" And then I was like, I'm trying to impose a thing that'll be helpful later. But she looked at it as, being waterboarded, and that's when I realized there was a philosophical difference. But I don't know. Is Fergie on board with this this thought you have?
Yeah, I mean, we have a really good sort of working relationship, and we're co-parenting our son. We have different styles for sure, but she also knows that I'm a good dad, and he's my number one priority. My kids are like they're my number one priority, and she knows that, even though we have different ways of going about it. So, yeah, I mean, I could do a little bit better. In that regard, I'm learning how to do it. We have a whole list of chores. When he's out there at the cabin with me, he's out there helping me.
Oh, that's
at
good.
least for an hour or two.
That's good.
If he wants to take the go tubing, go get the rope, tie it up to the thing, get it ready to go. Like just basic things that he needs to start taking. Someday he's going to be running the place, hopefully, and he needs to start learning this stuff. So she likes that he is. I'm making him. I'm giving him some responsibility, and he needs to. And I think that's one thing that I didn't do a great job of as he was, his first 6 or 7 years. But he's 11 years old. He's going to be a man soon. He needs to, it's a tough world out there. He's got to be able to, do the basics at least and deal with a little hardship. So. I don't know. We're all new at this.
Yeah. So first off, I'm going to take some of the burden off you, which is we don't need to think about or talk about or invest nearly as much as we do, because I had this weird conversation once. I don't know what I was with. I'll think of it in a second. My parents had, I don't know, 0 to 3 conversations about me and my sister. Like they just lived our life. We lived our life.
Yeah.
You were kids. Kids were kids.
Yeah.
That was it.
90s. How old are you?
I was born in 64.
Okay.
So I got a lot of take it outside.
Yeah.
So it was basically you'd come into the house. They go, "What are you doing?" They go, "Well, stop playing. Stop with the horseplay. Take it outside," and you just leave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot of planning as to our future, and that kind of stuff. So. I think sometimes as a parent, we get up in our head and we're like, I got to do more. I got to set this example. I got to do that example. Who's going to take care of them when I'm gone? And it's like, and the answer is they'll take care of them.
Yeah.
Just like you take care of you now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think you're doing them any favors when you go like, you got to buy them an apartment building so they have some rental income.
Yeah.
It's like, I think they need to go out and figure out what they're doing and earn it.
Yeah.
And own it.
You're right. It's not an easy thing it makes you feel better if you know that they're going to be safe. But the truth is, you're not doing them any favors by doing that.
No, I mean you don't give them radon poisoning at the house. Maybe put a helmet on before they get on the zipper scooter, and then just stand back.
Keep them between the rails.
All right, let me give you a plug here, Josh. Ransom Canyon on Netflix premieres April 17th. Gatlin.com is where you can go for wellness products. Oh, man, I wanted to talk about that, but we can get into it next. Well, you're not that far away. Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, it's talk about building something. This is something that we've been working on for the last 4 years. The amount of work it takes to build a telemedicine company. But the main reason I'm doing it is because, I was doing testosterone replacement therapy. For the last 5 years I've been doing it. I didn't tell anybody about it. And I started thinking, my buddy Fabian, who's here right now with me, I started thinking about it, and I was like, why aren't we talking about this? This has actually improved my life tremendously over the last 5 years. And so I took some flack from my representatives at first.
Were you doing like a topical thing or an injection thing?
No, an injection. My T levels were low. And so I started doing it, and I just started feeling incredibly good.
Really?
And so we built this company. It's health, it's wellness, it's longevity. It's a community of men that are, not only looking to stay, younger and healthier longer, but creating new habits, things that I think will improve their lives tremendously.
I need to get on this stuff, man.
Have you tried it? Have you tested your
Yeah, I tried it. I tested it. It's low, and then I got some like topical stuff, and it's not really. Same. It's not the same. So I need
I'll sign you up for Gatlin.
Sign me up, man. Because
I will pay for your membership. Just give us a shot.
I will literally give me a shot, because I was literally just talking to Jay Moore, comedian, in here the other day, and he's like, I do the shot.
Yeah.
The testosterone shot. Is it once a week or every day?
I do it once a week.
Once a week.
Once a week. We also have oral pills you can take too that are the same. It keeps your levels at around the same level all the time, whereas the shot sort of shoots you up, and then it'll dissipate, and then until you get the next one. But I think the overall feeling that you'll after about a month, you'll really start to feel that like you did when you were in your 40s.
Yeah.
Or even your 30s.
Really?
Yeah, it's for real.
Is it all physical, or is it mental as well in terms of
you're literally raising your T levels to what it was when you were a younger man, and I think that all of us, I'm a little bit younger than you, but I'm getting up there. I was born in 72. It just starts to taper off naturally, but it doesn't have to. You don't have to feel that sort of low energy that we all start to feel at,
well, that is
40s and 50s.
GATLAN.com. All right, Josh, I'm going to sign up off the air here with you, because I was literally just thinking about it yesterday.
Yeah. It'll change your world, Adam.
Good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and you're, local-ish.
Yeah.
So whenever you want. Got something on your mind?
All right.
Project plug.
Appreciate that.
Come by and say hi.
I will.
All right, we'll be back. Oh, Mayhem Miller. You know him. UFC guy. He's going to do some news, and we'll do that right after this. All right. Him's hair. Like the way that sounds. Hey, guys. Starting to notice your hair's thinning out a little bit. Look in the mirror. You're not alone. Life just gets busier and busier, and you can feel like there's not enough time in the day to do something about it. So try Hims Hair Loss Solutions. Hims provides you with convenient access to a range of hair loss treatments that work, all from the comfort of your couch. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Hims has hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they can help you get your confidence back with visibly thicker and fuller hair with Hims. Am I right, Dawson?
Start your free online visit today at hims.com/Adam. That's HIMS.com/Adam for your personalized hair loss treatment options. hims.com/Adam. Results vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information.
Homes.com. Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. It may be Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home the best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth info they need to find the right home. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
It's time for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
If you said Die Hard,
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
You're correct. Now, back to the show.
It's weird. He can't get near some lines, and the other ones he just nailed.
Nailed that one.
Ozzy was
I'd
actually-
watch a whole Die Hard trilogy with that.
The thing that's funny, I forgot, but I put Ozzy in a movie called The Hammer, and he just played himself, but he was a star of the movie. And Pete Berg, who's done every action, Friday Night Lights and everything, was in here. And he saw The Hammer years ago, and he said, that guy who played Ozzy.
I remember him vaguely, too. I haven't seen.
That guy was amazing. Who is that actor? I was like, that's Ozzy. That's just a dude. How'd you cast him? I was like, cast him. We built apartments together when we were in our
The whole
20s
movie
and
was
30s.
built around him.
Yeah. All right, what do you got? Some news?
You know what? First up, we got some science news. The sci-fi fairy tale of de-extinction may become a reality. Colossal Laboratories, the ominous name, and Biosciences have revived dire wolves from extinction. It's like a wolf, but bigger and woolly.
When this is
Some footage right here. Yeah, apparently these little pups grew like twice the size of a full-grown wolf only in 6 months.
all right. Well, first things first. I want to say this about movie plots and themes. When you do Jurassic Park and you go, wait a minute, where are these dinosaurs coming from? And they go, well, they're mosquitoes who stung them 10 million years ago, and they're encased in amber now.
Hey, Mr. DNA, where'd DNA come from?
Right.
From your blood.
That's right. Okay. And then I, as a viewer, I say to myself, okay, I'm in. It's feasible enough. I couldn't do it, but I could imagine a world where one day it was done.
Suspend that disbelief.
Right. But then there's movies where it's like these two guys switch personalities. What happened? Well, they were peeing into the same fountain when lightning hit the fountain. And I go, how does that make them switch personalities? And they go, no. See, in Liar, Liar, yeah, Jim Carrey's son, yeah, he wished at his birthday party, his 6th birthday, he wished that Jim Carrey would stop lying. And I go, okay. And you wish your dad would stop throwing beer bottles at you, right? Did it work?
No.
No, I wish my dad made some fucking money and we could go out to eat every once in a while. But did it work? No. So what I need is something more than a 6-year-old wishing before he blows out a candle on a birthday cake or two dudes pissing into a fountain at the same time when lightning strikes. I need some DNA in the blood.
This is science fact. Their gene editing technology called CRISPR enabled the scientists to re-edit the genes of gray wolves that live today, the closest living relative. So they just reorganized their DNA and out comes a dire wolf.
So this is going to lead to things that we can't anticipate.
To be honest, there's already things like CRISPR has been used to make cats glow in the dark.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's already getting weird out there, Carolla, I'm telling you.
Well, okay, but here's where it's really going. It's really, first off, every piece of technology always ends up in porn.
Oh, yeah.
It's always porn.
Genetically engineered
It all
huge
starts
hog.
off as great. Like the internet starts off as you could do your taxes over the computer or something, and then it's always porn. Everything ends up being porn.
All roads lead to porn.
At some point, like 300 years from now, you're going to go, well, Taylor Swift never did any porn, did she? Well, she didn't. But we got some of her DNA. And we're going to build Taylor Swift, and she's going to do porn. And now there's legalities.
Yeah,
Does the estate of Taylor Swift get money from her porn doppelganger?
I'm just asking if Adam Carolla clone, who's pushing his dick around in a shopping cart, gets the banger.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, then they start charging to lay down with Taylor Swift.
Damn, you're right.
Now, there was a story, and I've told you guys a million years ago, that a guy, like a rancher, had a prized longhorn steer.
Yeah.
It had some euphemistic name like Lucky or something. And the University of Austin or something cloned him.
Ooh.
It was like the first cloned steer. And you can look it up, Jesse. The first cloned, it's a cloned steer. It's been 15, 20 years, but it's like a cloned longhorn. And the guy who was a beloved longhorn owner who died, the steer died, but then he got his clone steer, and he was like reunited with his clone steer. But the thing was evil.
I was gonna say, did it have a mustache?
It was like Hasselhoff.
Oh no!
And Knight Rider when his evil twin drives a semi-truck. The rancher in Texas, he cloned his prized Texas Longhorn steer named Watson, who had the longest horns of any longhorn in the world.
What was the clone's name? Sherlock?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. After he was castrated, the breeder saw the potential. Anyway, the thing gored him.
Get the fuck
it
out
gored
of here.
a few other people because he was cloned, but he wasn't the same.
Cruel twist of fate.
Yeah, there's a whole story. You guys can look it up, but it doesn't always work out.
If you're used to Watson, you go ahead and pet his snout all the time, and then you walk up on Sherlock and he fucks you up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I got my dog, Phil. He's the greatest. He's a big dude. He's the lover. And if someone cloned him, I'd walk up and go, Phil, and then he'd bite me. So that's what happens. So it's not all like Taylor Swift could punch you in the cock when you're going to lay down with her. We don't know if it'd be the same as this one.
Yeah.
All right. So it's on. I mean, we're heading to Jurassic Park.
We're here.
So
we're living in it.
It's like a million years ago in the Dick Tracy cartoon, like the commissioner would call and he'd hit his watch and he'd see a picture of the commissioner and go, Commissioner. And you'd go, oh, come on. That's never. We're here.
Yeah.
So we're going to be here. So my son's son will get to have sex with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or whoever.
Three-way with two-headed Sabrina Carpenter.
Ooh. Yeah.
I'm into it.
Me too.
Moving on, Bill Maher says he doesn't hate Trump and says he's one of the most effective politicians. Yeah, on Sunday's episode of Club Random podcast, Maher said, here we go.
Trump really is one of the most effective politicians, whatever you think of the policy and him as a person, just as a politician, just understanding that always lean in to being more who you are. The people are not savvy about issues, but they smell a phony a mile away. And that kind of shit, nobody else does it. You know, there's a couple of times when, I've been his biggest critic for good reason. And when he got reelected, I said, I'm not going to pre-hate anything. And then the first week I said, well, there's lots of things I hate because I do. Okay, there's some things I don't hate also, but the way he can do that and sometimes kind of make me go, oh man, I got to give it up. Like when he did that thing where the guy came in from the Taliban and he said, this is an aerial picture of your house. If during our withdrawal, one American is hurt, just know I know where you live. I was like, oh, can we just play the music now? Because
Gangster.
I don't care. It's Donald Trump and he's the worst person ever, blah, blah, blah. I fucking love that. One time they were doing something was going on with, and he said, you know what? When you come after New York, you got to go through me. It's like, oh, hometown boy. You know, he has those moments that no other politician has. And the Democrats have to find that guy.
Yeah. They're not in the current Democratic roster. They're not going to find that guy because It's kind of an interesting. There's an inauthenticity to these guys, and it's kind of insane. I don't know. I liked a Tim Waltz. There's a Tim Waltz tweet that I liked from last night, which is kind of interesting because they do their. He's kind of the problem with them, which is doing a simulation of a person, but not actually being that person.
Like kowtowing to the weakest of the weak and pulling everybody's level down to that level, seems like.
Yeah, trying to come across as a dude. There's nothing worse than a weird dude trying to come across as a regular dude. That never works. It's sort of like a nerd goes and buys cowboy boots, so he thinks it's going to dude him up, and then you see a guy walking weird in cowboy boots, and now you take notice, and you go, it's worse than fucking sneakers. You're not helping your cause by attempting to do this simulation of a dude. But he gave this speech. Yeah, here it is. It's it's uncanny to me, but I think it means the audience thinks. You think the audience is stupid, and maybe they are. It's this bizarre approach with who's paying taxes, which, by the way, it's been going on for a long time. I told you guys, my mom said to me 8 years ago, she's like, but rich people don't pay taxes. I go, the fuck we don't. You don't pay taxes. I pay a shitload in taxes. I've cut the government a check for $2 million. Don't tell me I don't pay taxes. I pay taxes. Rich people pay taxes. Now, they look for ways to pay less taxes.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what people do when the government wants a check for $2 million. They try to get it down to 1.7.
Reduce your exposure.
But listen to his assessment of rich people and the relationship with taxes. And God, do I wish he was correct. I wish he was right. Here we go.
I think Democrats supporting families, supporting the working class, supporting unions, but I think we have to separate and have a message here. It's okay in America to be successful. We should celebrate that when people are successful. What my beef is, once you get successful, don't be a greedy bastard and not pay your taxes. Don't do that. Pay your tax and do that. And
all right, hold on for a second. First things first. The audience, a smattering of applause for work hard, be successful, start a business. That's like a polite golf, like, right. Pay your taxes, greedy bastard. Woo! Yeah. That's a knockout at the UFC. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and work hard, start a business, make your money. But hey, man, once you make money, come on, don't be greedy. Pay your taxes. First off, it's not optional. I ask Wesley Snipes if it's optional. Ask me. I cut a check for $2 million. If it was optional, I wouldn't have done it. They make you pay your taxes, and if they don't, they fucking throw you in jail. They'll take away your passport if you owe. I owed them money. I tried to travel out of the country. They're like, no, you're not traveling out.
Really?
Yeah, you owe us money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so try not paying them. Tim Walz, his portrayal of greedy people is just like, I made a lot of money, not going to pay my taxes. I'll keep it all. I'm living in California.
It's like cartoonish. Yeah.
When I go to the supermarket and I buy my food and then they do the sales tax, I'm going to tell them to fuck right off. Sorry, bitches. Sorry, lady who works at Gelson's. You get nothing. And then when I buy like a home computer and it's like $2,200, but there's another 10% on for taxes, you know what I'm going to do? Pound sand, dude, at Mac store. Fuck right off. I'm greedy. I'm rich and I'm greedy. So I'm going to stop paying. And you know when I register my car at the DMV and they're like $587, I'm going to go, fuck off, man. Give me those tags. I'll take those tags. You get nothing. Yeah. I'm going to call Tony, my accountant, after the show and go, hey, man, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but what the fuck?
Tony, you're fired.
You're fired, Tony, because Tim Walls just said this is voluntary, evidently. I thought we were... I thought we were compelled to do this by law, but I didn't know it was just a choice. Because we've been suckers, man. Paying hundreds of thousands of dollars every quarter. Yeah, let's hear his taxing one more time. It is awesome.
Don't be a greedy bastard and not pay your taxes. Don't do that.
No.
Pay your tax and do that. And let those young men who see this, now I would argue this, we're creating a false narrative from them that everybody is super rich and has Lamborghinis and life is easy. But that's what we're going to have to figure out in our society about social media and all those things.
All right,
but I don't think...
Okay. This 10-cent tard should not be in charge of any policy because he doesn't know how policy works, evidently. He thinks we're in some sort of voluntary system where Elon Musk agrees to pay whatever he thinks he wants to pay for tax. First off, everyone is greedy. So you fucking do a fight, you make $100,000, and then the promoter goes, yeah, I need 15% of that. You would like to go, you know what? I'll give you $500, but I'm keeping the rest. You know what I mean? That's what I would like. I go out, bust my ass, play a bunch of clubs, and then someone goes, you know what? I booked all those shows, so I need 10%. I'd like to go, you know what? I'm the guy who got on an airplane, so here's $10. And something I got from Gelson's. I bought a papaya. Didn't pay tax on it because I told the bitch I wasn't paying taxes, and I waltzed out of the place. And that's my move. You know my move? It's a non-tax move. Yeah. So his approach to this is greedy guys. By the way, it's like you're talking to 9-year-olds with a learning disability. Like, hey, greedy guys. And I was like, okay, they're not greedy guys. They're business owners. They have payroll.
Everybody's trying to keep all their money.
And they're trying to keep as much as they can. I'll put it to you this way. Let's put it to you this way. I get on a plane. I go to the Desert Ridge Improv. I drive to the Burbank Airport. I park my car at the valet, $40 a night. I drag my luggage into the airport. I buy a ticket. I take a crowded Southwest flight to Phoenix, land on a Friday, check into the hotel, which I pay for, and then do 2 shows that night, and then come back to the hotel at 12:30 at night. And then the following day, I get up again and I do 2 shows again. And then I go back to the hotel again. And then on Sunday, I do 1 show. I pay for all the meals. I pay for the hotel. I pay for the flights. And on Monday morning, I get on a crowded Southwest flight and I fly back to Burbank so I can be at work here on a Monday afternoon. Okay. I'm going to turn it to you, Tim Walz. How much of that money do you think you deserve? How much do you deserve? How much do you deserve of that money, Tim? Would I be greedy if I just said I want to keep 90% of it? Would I be greedy?
I'm a greedy man. Pay your taxes.
You want 40% of it, and you don't even know I left the house. So shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. And by the way, all you dumb shits in the audience that are flapping your flippers at this shit, you're going nowhere. You're going to be losers. Do not get this mindset. Give us some money. Come on, man. Okay. I want to hear it one more time. I just go back to the start.
You just enjoy being pissed.
Go back to the start. He's such a fucking 10-cent head. And by the way, he knows... He's in government. He knows this isn't how it works. He goes, I'm talking to dopes. I'm talking to poor, dumb fucking people. So I'm going to pop a Mountain Dew and look like a poor, dumb people and feed them shit that's going to make them applause because they're poor and they're dumb.
Doritos for the soul.
Yeah, here we go.
I think Democrats supporting families, supporting the working class, supporting unions, but I think we have to separate and have a message here. It's okay in America to be successful. We should celebrate that when people are successful. What my beef is,
He's got a problem.
Once you get successful, don't be a greedy bastard and not pay your taxes. Don't do that.
Yeah. Woo!
pay your tax and do that.
Yeah, do that.
And
okay.
Let those.
Okay. He says nothing. He says nothing. This is
Let
nothing.
those young men.
Stop it. This doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. We have a code. It's enforced. You will be put in jail, or lien will be put on your building, or levies, or whatever, plus interest, plus penalties. There's a system. That evidently he's unaware of this system, or he is. He's a fucking lying sack of shit trying to pretend to be a human being. And he's in front of clearly dumb people. It's the same idiots 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when Obama was like, you start a business? You didn't do that yourself. Somebody else did that. And everyone's like, woo! It's like, okay, fucking hack, lazy losers. Okay, somebody else started your business. Okay. Public rec, love these guys. Love their pants, but are they pants? They're comfortable like sweats, but they're good looking like pants. They look like dress pants. So I mean, it's great when you travel, because it's nice when you travel to have a little stretch in the pockets and all that kind of stuff. Like the feel of the sweatpant with the look of a dress pant. So pants are uncomfortable, especially jeans, as well as skinny jeans. Ugh. And they come in small or medium or large, extra large sizes. But public rec, their pants, you get the exact width and the exact length you need. So they fit much better, and that's why they're so much more comfortable. The proprietary blend of performance materials provides the perfect combination of breathability and stretch while still holding its form. Public rec pants deliver unmatched comfort and style, making them perfect for any occasion. Whether you're heading to work or grabbing dinner with friends, going on a date, running, weekend errands, and anything in between, especially travel. It's public rec, right, Dawson?
Comfortable enough for the couch, sharp enough for the city. For a limited time, you can get 20% off at Public Rec by using code Carolla at checkout. Just head to publicrec.com, use code Carolla, and you're all set. Oh, and when they ask you how you found them, be sure to mention our show. It really helps out. Upgrade to Public Rec and feel the difference.
Well, let me lighten the mood a bit, all right? Jay Leno visits Sacramento to support classic car smog exemption bill.
Yes.
Yeah, the bill will be known as the Leno Law, or Leno's Law. SB 712 proposes full exemptions for collector vehicles 35 years and older.
35 and older?
Yep.
You know what you want out of a law? You want it named after you while you're alive, but you don't want it named after your daughter. That means she's gone.
You're done.
If you're named after your daughter, she's gone.
Oh, damn.
Somebody took her. She got abducted. You don't want Sarah's Law because it's like, oh, what the fuck happened to Sarah?
Yeah, and your phone will beep.
But you take, Bill Burr's Law because that'd be something cool.
Yeah.
All right, so what Jay? Sorry, we got Jay talking or just a picture?
This one's important to me because I'm an enthusiast. I have a car I bought in 1989. I still use it today. It's only got 27,000 miles on it. It looks brand new. But to get it smogged, I got to go, I'm in Burbank. I have to go to Downey. I have to go somewhere to try and find a smog station. How many miles I put more miles on it looking for smog stations than I do driving the thing, But it's true. I mean, I try to be the typical California enthusiast. During the week, I drive an electric car. My garage is all green. We have solar panels on the roof. We try to get off the grid as much as we can. And we try to do it in a way that we use environmentally safe products, biodegradable products when working on automobiles. And, they've come to my garage and given it the green sticker. So we try to do things the right way. But it's just hard when you have a vehicle that's not modified in any way. For example, if you have an old car and it's smoking, it doesn't matter how old it is, you're going to get a ticket. It's just not a well-maintained vehicle. But most enthusiasts maintain their cars to almost better than new condition, at least the people I know. And it just makes it such a hardship. Something that's legal in Nevada or Washington State, you drive right over the border, and now your car is illegal and you can't have it in California. It's not even like we're looking for something special. Everybody else is 25 years. We're 35 years, so we do an extra 10 on there just to hopefully get it to pass. But
yeah, I mean, look, how many people these days have an older vehicle? No catalytic converter, and carburetors and whatever.
Everyone, if you live in Cuba.
Yeah, if you live in Cuba, everyone's driving a 55 Chevy.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, where are the smog checks in Cuba? I should open it. You should open a smog check place in Cuba. That's where you're going to make your money. And then when you do make your money, you got to not be greedy. You got to give us some of that money back, okay?
Pay the taxes, to the communist regime.
Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. So here's the deal. I don't even know what we're talking about because there's almost no classic cars around. They don't get driven very much and so on and so forth. I do know there's 1,000 leaf blowers burning 2-stroke oil with no catalytic converter at any given time within 3 blocks of this place. So unless you guys have outlawed power mower leaf blowers, internal combustion leaf mowers, I don't want to hear anything you have to say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I all day, every day, there's an army of leaf blowers in every neighborhood in Southern California. They're just blowing away. This black soot's just shooting out of the exhaust, and it's waking everyone up who's taking a nap. And unless you want to address that, I don't want to hear about Jay Leno and his Tornado, his 69 Oldsmobile Tornado.
Under existing law, cars insured as collector vehicles and built in model year 1975 or earlier are exempt from portions of the biennial smog test, but vehicles manufactured after 1976 must meet emissions requirements upon transfer of ownership and registration in California smog check program. This would eliminate those stipulations entirely, offering full exemption without the need for additional checks.
Well, look, the theme over here is always the same. Just stop making rules to get in our pocket to impose more of your.
It's like
your
extra
stuff
taxes on top of normal taxes.
Well,
and then you got parking tickets and speeding
paying.
tickets. It's like dumbass taxes.
You know what? I'm going out to dinner tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm buying, and I'm with a friend, and I'm going to a steakhouse, and that bill could come to $300. Mm-hmm. And then under it, it's going to have another thing that says tax, and it's going to be like $33. I ain't paying that.
Yeah,
shit.
don't.
I'll go, listen, here's $300. Here's $50 for the tip. But I'm not paying.
Send a bill to Tim Waltz.
Send a bill to Tim Waltz. Mm-hmm.
Hey, next up, we got the richest women in the world, 2025. The richest woman of all is Walmart heir Alice Walton, whose fortune stands at an estimated $101 billion.
Well, I want to say this. I hate to say it, but I think I'm gonna say it. Somebody tweeted me this, and it was a story. I think we can find it. It was a story from Forbes, and they were like, there's 67 billionaires who are women, but that's still woefully less than male billionaires, and we need to do a lot of work to get the women caught up to the males. And I was like, I thought billionaires were evil. Weren't you telling us billionaires? Why do you want more bitches to be billionaires if billionaires are evil, or women billionaires aren't evil? I think is that what I'm getting? So nobody needs to be a billionaire. Mm-hmm. All right. So women remain. So according to Forbes, who probably thinks Elon Musk is evil, Forbes says women remain woefully underrepresented on the 2025 list. But so out of 3,000 billionaires, there's only 406 that are women. Now, that's on the planet. First off, I don't know if you can use the word woefully when you're talking about billionaires.
I know.
Now, she's struggling because she only has 827 million. So she's just fucking getting by. That bitch over there has only got $750 million. She can't afford formula. She can't afford formula for a child. Woefully. Oh, yes, you're right. You give me one more thing to worry about. Oh, man, what's going on in the Middle East? What's going on with China tariffs? And now women not being represented in the billionaire department. They're woefully. There's 406 women who are billionaires.
Here's an interesting...
and many who are multi-millionaires.
Well, I'll have you know that 9 of the 10 wealthiest women on the list inherited their fortunes.
Sadly, I tweeted this out. And
I knew you liked that.
I said, look, okay, First off, we need 2 lists. We already have 2 lists. You have the male list and the female list. You probably have the black list. I mean, you'll do all the lists. You'll segregate all the lists. We need inherited it list that don't lump her in with the Spanx chick who fucking sewed the shit in her garage and went to swap meets in the 80s and sold this shit, out of a van. Why should she get lumped in with the chick that just slept with the dude who started the business?
The richest self-made woman on the list is Rafaela Apont-Diamant, the Swiss co-founder of the world's largest shipping line, whose net worth is $37.7 billion. She ranks as the 5th wealthiest woman of all, and one of just 113 self-made women on the list. Others include Oprah Winfrey and Taylor Swift.
So, all right. I just tweeted out, why are you worried about women not being billionaires if being a billionaire makes you evil? So they're a little inconsistent here because they're woefully underrepresented. But then a lot of people tweeted me how many women inherited this shit.
Oh, yeah.
And I just got divorced. My ex-wife has a lot more money than I have, so I get it. She has a lot more money than I have.
A sensitive subject, then.
Well, yeah, but she didn't do anything. She didn't earn any of it. She just
didn't write one single rant.
Not one rant. Inspired a few.
Inspired many.
Many. You're right. That's a good point. I think of it that way. So I don't know, but listen, who cares? And I do want a separate list of inherited the money. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess the list would just be all the other ones other than 113. So let's subtract what was it? 300.
It was
113 self-made, and then 3,028 billionaires. So there you go. There's your list. Self-made versus.
There's 400 women billionaires, woefully underrepresented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my
I wonder
mistake,
if they're talking. I wonder if that's part of when they do the Million Woman March.
Yeah.
And they all take to the streets. Do you think this is part of what they're asking for? There's not enough female billionaires?
Well, another fun fact is that none of these bitches pay taxes.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's how they got to be billionaires. Start paying your taxes. All right. You got another story?
No, that's it, bud.
Oh, that's it?
I was going to pontificate about the strength of Adelson, Miriam Adelson. The top 10 is Melinda Gates.
Well, Melinda Gates just got divorced.
Exactly. She got the money. The wife of, or ex-wife, I should say, of Jeff Bezos is on the list. Jacqueline Mars of Mars
fame.
Can I
say this? Can I say this?
Yep.
When you apply for, like, certain things in life, like when you're filling out paperwork, right?
Yep.
And they'll go, I don't know, maybe it's just for unemployment or disability or something, or maybe it's a dating app, you know?
Right.
And you go, your annual income is, $10,000 to $30,000, $25,000 to $50,000, $50,000 to $75,000, and then at some point they just go $100,000 and above.
Yeah.
Because, all right, you made enough
But
to
that's
qualify.
a big
whatever.
gulf,
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying with Belinda Gates.
Yeah.
She can't get by with $400 million. You know what I mean? She's 56 years old. That's not what I'm saying is does it? It's like child support. Child support is just a percentage. So my dad didn't make any money. So my child support would have been $30 a month, Right. But if my dad was a LeBron James, then the child support would be $87,000 a month.
And you play on the Lakers.
And he'd play on the Lakers.
Yeah.
And I'd be a different man.
Yeah.
But what my point is does any child need $87,000 a month? Is what I'm saying. Like, why don't we cap it? Somebody go, look, this guy is a super rich dude. This guy hosts a late night show and he makes $30 million a year. and he's getting divorced, and he has a 10-year-old. So they go, all right, well, let's just run the calculation. All right, he needs to pay $251,000 a month in child support. And then I would go, what child needs $251,000 a month to be raised? Like, why don't we just fucking cap it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, cap child support at $25K a month. Who needs more than $1,000 a month, a day, I should say, to raise their kid? And it should be that way with divorce shit too. Like Melinda Gates, look, Bill Gates is worth $50 billion. You didn't do anything to earn that $50 billion. Why are you taking $25 billion? Why don't you take $1 billion?
Yeah.
And then he'll take 49, and then you'll still be richer than everyone else on the planet. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess
it would make sense.
Yeah, I guess the
Maybe
thought process
don't
is the
do that.
standard of living. They don't want the standard of living for that person to go down.
They don't do it in California. Yeah, it's a standard of living thing, but why is you got to be the Queen of Sheba for the rest of your life? Why is that standards go up, standards go down?
Yeah.
I'm renting a duplex in Burbank right now. My standard of living has gone down.
Balling out of control.
My standard of living has gone down. Do you know that?
Well, yeah. I mean, just stop paying your taxes, they'll go back up.
Damn. You're right. Remind me tonight when I'm at Morton's.
All right.
That bill comes, and I'm just going to circle whatever the tax is. I'll
Just
be like,
scratch that part out.
now, you know what I'll tell her? I'll tell my waitress, look, let's see, what do we got? 20%, $60, $60, $300 bill, $60, right?
Mm-hmm.
California would be like $33 in taxes.
Yep.
I'll go, listen, I'm in a good mood. I give you the $300 for the steak and potatoes. I'm not paying my taxes because, I'm greedy. But you get a $60 tip. Now, if you want to take $33 out of the tip I'm giving you, you'll be down to $27. But if you're going to get into trouble, I'm not. I decide not to do this. I like my money. But you can go ahead and take some of the money out of your tip and put it toward the taxes if that's what you choose to do. But I was watching Tim, and I've figured out that I've been played for a fool and a sucker, and I'm not paying these taxes. Okay? And then the next day, I'm going to do the same thing at the supermarket. And if I buy it like an RV or something, I'm doing the same thing.
How long before the IRS shows up and just battering rams your door and snatches you up out of that Burbank apartment?
Well, I will say this. There's no such thing as debtor's prison. Like the guy who rented my warehouse in Burbank a million years ago and never paid me rent and owed me $50,000, nothing we could do about him. There's nothing the government could do about him. But if you owe the government money, you will fucking go to prison. There is
a snatched up blade. There is put him in prison.
There's a debtor's prison that you think went out in old English days. No. We have debtor's prison. It's called owing the government money, not owing me money, not owing the landlord money, not the taxpayer money, not him. There's no prison.
You're walking around in manacles like that man in the iron mask.
Yeah, but there is prison for people who owe the government money. So just think about that. Next time you want to expand government, I guess. All right. I want to thank Josh Duhamel for coming in here and having a thoughtful conversation. Ransom Canyon, Netflix, coming up. Me, tomorrow, in, comedy, doing stand-up, American Comedy Club in San Diego. Come on by and say hi. 2 shows tomorrow, 2 shows Saturday. Go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows. Until next time, Adam Carolla for Mayhem and Josh Duhamel saying mahalo.